In this lecture, we are going to talk about constructor overloading. So first of all, let's create a new class, house. This house has several instance variables, so private integer number of rooms, then private integer number of doors. For example, a house has number of windows. Okay, so these are the instance variables, and we are able to inject values for these variables from outside with the help of constructors. So for example, I would like to create a new constructor. Okay, so if there are no parameters, so the user doesn't provide the number of rooms, number of doors, number of windows, then we are going to call this with value 1. What does it mean? That it is going to call the constructor of this class. So of course we have to create another constructor with a single argument, which is going to be the number of rooms. Okay, so if this constructor is called, then we call another constructor. This is called constructor chaining. So we call the number of rooms and we specify, for example, 10, which is going to be the number of doors. So let's create another constructor with number of rooms and number of doors. And what's going to happen here, that again we use constructor chaining, so we call the constructor with number of rooms, then the other parameter will be the number of doors, and then there's going to be the number of windows with value 20. So let's create that constructor as well, number of rooms, number of doors, and the last argument is going to be the number of windows. So in this case, we set this dot number of rooms is equals to the number of rooms. This dot number of doors is equals to the number of doors. And this dot number of windows is equals to the number of windows. So this is how we can use constructors, and this is how we can use constructor chaining in order to set the values for instance variables. So if I instantiate a new house with no parameter, then what's going to happen? If here we do not specify a given value, then this constructor is going to be called. That's going to call the constructor with a single argument. That's going to call the constructor with 2 arguments. And finally, it's going to call a constructor with 3 arguments. So finally, every single variable will be initialized with value 1, with value 10, and value 20. What if we would like to print out the object itself? So in this case, if we print out house, then the hash code is going to be printed out, which is this value. If we specify the toString method for a given class, then we can specify what to print out when we print out the given object. In this case, we would like to return with the number of rooms plus some punctuation, the number of doors, okay, and the number of windows. So whenever we print out the object itself, so the house, then the toString method is going to be called. That's going to print out the number of rooms, number of doors, and number of windows accordingly. So in this case, as you can see, 1, 10, and 20. Maybe let's print out house with parameters and something like this. I guess it's going to work just fine. The house with parameters 1, 10, and 20, where 1 is the number of rooms, 10 is the number of doors, and 20 is the number of windows. So this is how we use constructor. Constructors are going to be called automatically whenever we instantiate a new class with the new keyword. So because here's a new keyword and we instantiate a new house, this is why this constructor is going to run, that calls another constructor and another constructor with constructor chaining and so on. So this is how we use constructors and constructor chaining. Thanks for watching.